Hey, thank you for checking out another episode of Check This Out, this time for the week of Friday, September 18th, 2020. So I am filming this on the 18th, on Friday the 18th, eagerly awaiting the birth of my first child. So I have one take to do this in, and however it happens is how it happens. So typically on the Rogue Patriot, we talk about things from a constitutional or historical old American history perspective, to kind of see new depth into current issues. On this show called Check It Out, what we do is I basically take news stories I find interesting, save them throughout the week, and then talk to them with you all here. So I have a lot of fun doing these. I'm having more fun doing this show than I would have otherwise expected, and I've got a few good ones for you today. All right, like I said, one take, so we'll see how this goes. All right, first story I have for you is Trump signs new executive order on prescription drug prices from NPR. Now, President Trump gets a hard time on this show because he does a lot of things that just don't respect Constitution or American history. This is not one of them, though. So if you're not aware of how pharmaceutical pricing works, a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies are based in the U.S. or in Europe. And what they do is they basically inflate the prices of their drugs for countries that can afford it and then make it cheaper for countries that can't afford it. So on the face of it, that seems like kind of an honorable way to do it, kind of a socialistic way to do it. But the problem is countries like the United States that have a very complex system of insurers wind up really getting shafted in the long run, paying exorbitant prices for drugs compared to other countries that get it for almost nothing. So what President Trump's order does is it requires drug companies sell a drug in the United States for the lowest price they sell it for anywhere else in the world. So what will this do? The drug companies are screaming, saying that it's going to ruin their innovation and they're not going to be able to make new drugs anymore. And, oh man, we're working on solving the coronavirus problem right now and you're just trying to take away our money. These companies make billions and billions of dollars a year. They can figure out a way to do it. They can figure out a new way to handle these situations. My personal feeling that I've had for a long time is if we cut insurance companies completely out of the equation, there would be a lot more money in the system to then go to doctors, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies, whoever, because we wouldn't have this stupid insurance middleman siphoning profits off the top like the freaking mafia did in New York and Las Vegas in the mid 1900s. All right, it's an antiquated pricing model. We don't need it anymore. We need to think of a better way to do it. Like I said, President Trump gets a hard time on this show a lot. Not from this, though. This was a good thing that he did. I believe it was an executive order, and it had some time frame in there for like negotiation between the president or the White House and the drug companies. And apparently the drug companies failed to come up with anything more convincing. So Trump went ahead and knocked that order on them. So that was a good deal. And like I said, that one was from... Okay, so the next story I have for you comes from CBS News, and the title is Texas Police Group puts up billboard warning, quote, enter at your own risk, saying Austin defunded the police. To me, I think this is hilarious because they are hedging on Austin becoming a more dangerous and less safe place because the police have been, quote unquote, defunded there, when in reality, what we might see is that instead of Austin becoming like a violent post-apocalyptic wasteland like they're counting on, actually becomes a cooler place because, like, you know, personal amounts of drugs are not are decriminalized. People aren't getting tickets for jaywalking or parking offenses or other stupid ticky-tacky things that police probably shouldn't be wasting their time on, and instead be worrying about like murders and rapists and child traffickers and all those kind of things. So we'll see how this one goes. Austin, I think, is supposed to be a nicer place in Texas in general where people are kind of more decent to each other than maybe El Paso or somewhere that's closer to the Mexican border. So we'll see how this one goes. I thought it was funny, though. So the next story I have for you comes from Politico. The title is Barr Creates Firestorm with Comments That Appear to Boost Trump's Reelection Campaign. And the subheading is the Attorney General called virus lockdowns the, quote, greatest intrusion on civil liberties since slavery and likened career DOJ prosecutors to preschoolers. Oh my God. So look, okay. Have coronavirus lockdowns been very intrusive in personal freedom, personal liberties? Yes. But what also has been is Bill Barr's elevating the presidency to that of a monarchy and his blatant, overt power grabs for the executive and the role of the executive. Yeah, that's intrusive as well. Let me tell you something else that was intrusive. The Patriot Act was the most intrusive legislation ever signed against American privacy, against freedom of speech. The terrorist list was the first time that the United States had a list of bad people at home that was openly talked about, not hidden away at the FBI somewhere. Those were both in response to the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001, and also with the wars in the Middle East that followed. So, yeah, those were extremely intrusive then, but now people in Congress say that we couldn't function without them. There's no way that we could function without a FISA court approving warrantless wiretapping on U.S. citizens. Something else that's also massively intrusive on American freedom is Attorney General Bill Barr's constant attacks on encryption technology, whether it comes to WhatsApp or whatever other specific software product they're targeting that he feels the government should be able to look in on at any time. So don't give me this nonsense about, oh, actually, I'm an anti-government guy. I'm a small government guy in the Attorney General, but I don't think you should be able to have any privacy over electronic communications. I think that the government should be able to warrantlessly wiretap anybody they want. I think the president should have almost unparalleled power in the executive branch compared to any other country in the world. Yeah, dude, no. Don't. This is bullshit. This is the Attorney General campaigning on behalf of the president, period. Now, I'll tell you what, Obama had some stinker attorney generals, and so did George W. Bush. Attorney general is kind of like it's the porta potty human in the executive branch of government. They all suck. Jeff Sessions was a joke as well. But most of them have not openly campaigned for the president's reelection like Attorney General Bill Barr is doing here. This is not good. Like I said, this article was from Politico. Go check it out and see. This is not something that should be going on. Was the coronavirus lockdown very intrusive on people's liberty? Yeah, it was, but we're in unprecedented times too. And the fact is that, tobacco taxes are very intrusive on people's individual liberty to combust whatever kind of leaves into their lungs that they want. A lot of things are intrusive. It doesn't stop them with anything except this one thing that the president really doesn't like. That's his argument there. Bullshit. Okay, the next one is from Fox News. The title is, Don't Shoot Me Any Liberals Out There. Okay, the title is Jon Stewart back in Washington in new fight for veterans looking for burn pit relief. So for those of you that don't know, our absolute dismal failure of a Congress could barely pass the 9/11 First Responders Health Care Act, whatever it was called a few months ago, and had to have the comedian and ex-talk show host Jon Stewart to come in there and actually do their damn job for them. Now, they are once again exceeding everybody's expectations with their uselessness in their refusal to give extended health benefits to military veterans who were exposed to toxic chemicals by military contractors. This is just an insane piece of American government where the government hires a contractor who barely half-ass completes a job that they were hired to do. They endanger other government employees and people in general during that process. Then that contractor refuses to do anything, saying they don't have any liability because the government hired him to do it. And then the government doesn't ever do anything because, why should Congress ever have to fucking legislate something? Yeah. Okay, so if you don't know what this is about, during the wars in the Middle East, the U.S. government hired contractors to dispose of materials, all kinds of different materials, some of them hazardous, some of them not. And the way that these genius contractors decided to do it was to dig giant holes in the ground, put all the trash and garbage in the hole, and then burn it. And it turns out that when you do that, you put toxins into the air that give people stuff like cancer, neurological diseases, that can give people dementia and all kinds of awful conditions. And now what we're seeing is that there have been about 200,000 veterans that we know of that have direct health consequences because of being exposed to the smoke from those burn pits. And Congress is refusing to do anything. So this goes to both parties, but the Republicans and Trump in particular love flying the "we love our veterans more than the Democrats" flag. Bull fucking shit they do. Because if they did, they would actually do something about legislation like this. They would have done something about the 9/11 first responders. But they don't until somebody comes along and holds their hand like they're in kindergarten to get it done. It is insane that Jon Stewart, a comedian, has to walk them through this. It's absolutely insane. So yeah, okay. You love veterans so much, blow me. No, you don't. No, you don't. You'd be taking care of them on issues like this if you did. Next story I have for you is from Politico. Whew. Got another doozy for you on this one. Trump officials interfered with CDC reports on COVID-19. The subtitle is "The politically appointed Health and Human Services spokesperson and his team demanded and received the right to review CDC's scientific reports to health professionals." So this is what you do. If you're incompetent at anything, regardless of what your job actually is, if you're incompetent, the best way to stay incompetent and then also keep your job is to change the metrics of how well you're doing your job. And that's exactly what we see here. The more people that come between the actual cases of COVID and those numbers being public, the more those numbers are going to be manipulated. Statistics are so easy to lie over. It is absolutely insane. This was a really long article, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. But basically, what we're seeing here is that there were a bunch of people in health and human services that were involved in manipulating the data that they were getting to fit the president's narrative. And what's worse about this, to me, is that there's not even evidence that Trump specifically asked for this to be done, but these people all are so concerned with making him proud, like an abusive father-son relationship, that they're lying and corrupting their morality and integrity to do so. The CDC's morbidity and mortality weekly reports are what we're talking about here that were modified. These reports have been coming out forever. They were authored by scientists, and they are used in medical science directly to make decisions, to make treatment decisions. And that was manipulated and propagandized by a narcissist. That's where we're at on that one. Okay, the next story I have for you, this is another one. I need to come up with a name for this segment, but this is another one from Politico. The title is "Gun-Toting Millennial Restaurant Owner Trying to Ride the COVID Backlash to Congress. Laura Boebert pulled off a stunning primary victory after defying government shutdown orders. But could she lose the GOP a seat?" Okay, so on the last episode of Check This Out, I was talking about another Republican candidate for the House named Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of these Fox News anchor-looking females with ridiculously extremist, non-negotiable views, or values, as they call them, and that are just making it through these primary elections by storm. Now, like I said on that episode, what this is doing, because every way that people receive information is visual now, for the most part, just like we're doing, unless you get it on a podcast. So now these moderately attractive ladies, young ladies in particular, age does seem to have a difference here. And you could argue that AOC is the same way. I'm fine with that. I don't care. I'm not being partisan here. But the difference is that maybe not between AOC, but the difference between these candidates and other candidates is that they do not have a single original idea ever. All they do is stick to the hardest, most nonsensical, ridiculous line that their party has, and they just wave that flag around. They wave that flag around, and all of these people vote for them. And it's knocking off more reasonable politicians that have been in office for multiple terms. The person that Lauren Boebert just got rid of, that she primaried out, had been in for 5 terms. And then now this millennial, I don't know how old she is, but this younger woman who is just touting these crazy hardline ideas, she got a golden ticket to go all the way through. Men will vote with their dicks. Men will do just about anything with their dicks. We are seeing this. And yeah, say the same thing about AOC. Okay, I'm fine with that. Okay, so the last one I have for you is not so much political, but it is interesting in general. So this one is from CNN CNN Business. Okay, don't shoot me, CNN. It's not political. This article is not political. The title is "Senators Demand Recalls After CNN Report Finds Amazon's Own Products Are Being Flagged as Fire Hazards." Now, Amazon has become its own aristocracy. And they have become so insanely powerful. And our government is so useless at understanding and absorbing new technologies to be able to properly fend off society from future bad outcomes. This is such a great example of that. So Amazon has these lines of generic products. I buy stuff from Amazon all the time. I'm not proud of it, but I've used a bunch of Amazon Basics line products. And what people are finding now is like a lot of them burst into flames or melt or aren't safe or something bad happens with them at some point. So now there are hundreds of products that are branded as an Amazon Basics product that they're having these issues on, and Amazon is not doing anything about it. And they're not even taking down comments on these product pages saying how dangerous the products are. They're leaving those up. So all the senators did, that's probably not a mistake they'll make again, by the way, but all the senators did was go through these product pages and see that some of them had all of these comments saying, oh, it tried to catch my wall on fire. Oh, it melted in my bed. Oh, it melted in my backpack. And and Amazon's just leaving it up there, and they're not taking it down. They're not doing any safety warnings. They're not doing recalls. They're not doing any of this. Of course, everybody knows it's the cheapest shit that you can buy if it's an Amazon Basics, because they undercut everybody else. They use their pricing data, even though they say they don't. They use the pricing data from competitors to determine price points for their own products so that they know that they're undercutting. They know that product is going to win before it ever makes it out on the web. So it's just, this is insane. And some of these have 1,500 reviews that are detailing safety risks. It's just gigantic. And I mean, if you Google this story and see some of the pictures from these events, it will raise the hair on the back of your neck, because it's scary that these are just out there and nobody's doing anything about it. So we'll see how that one turns out. If I hear anything else about it, I'll definitely put it in another Check This Out, because I think it's important for us to all be talking about this. So, hey, I appreciate you watching this. and I will be putting these out every Friday as much as possible. And also, I clip up each individual story and put that out on the clips as well. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the little notification bell so you get notified when I post something new. It means a lot to me. I really enjoy doing this. I hope you enjoy it as well. Always comment on the videos if you think I did something wrong. Call me out, whatever. It's all good. America was founded on disagreement. I want to keep that tradition going. You can also find this show posted as one whole show on any of the places the podcasts are available. And please subscribe to it, rate and comment there as well. You can also contact us at the Rogue Patriot Podcast at gmail.com with questions, topics, or anything else that you desire. We post discussion episodes typically about once a week, unless there's some breaking news that comes out. We're doing these check it outs once a week as well, and I might have a few other things planned that I'll start throwing as well to you. Thank you again. I'll see you next time.